Hey guys, my name is Haley, and it's been a month since I filmed because me and my partner caught the plague. And I've been sick off and on for quite literally the last like 4 weeks. And I have some other weird health stuff going on, and it's been a stressful month, but I am going to be filming another media consumed. I have not read a whole lot, so I'm not going to do a book wrap up for probably a few more weeks till I get back into the reading groove. But I can film another media consumed because I did in fact consume a lot of media while being sick. So we're going to jump right into that. First off, very late to the party, I'm going to talk about Bad Bunny's Super Bowl halftime. I loved it. I was not going to lie, I was originally watching for just Green Day. I've been a Green Day stan since I was a teenager, and they did not disappoint either. I also love them. But also, I really liked Bad Bunny's set, and I had a whole issue with the way that people are interacting with music and the not only like racism but xenophobia and all of that that goes into this. But that also leads me into the other thing that I got back into this month and is consuming a lot of my time, and that is K-pop. If you didn't know, I used to be a huge K-pop stan. I've been one since like 2018. Astro was my first group. Astro had a member pass away a few years ago, and I kind of dropped off of K-pop entirely after that. I like tried to stay in it and I couldn't, and there was also a whole nother like life event of mine that kind of led to it because the person I used to watch it with I am no longer friends with. So with Bin's death from Astro, which devastated me because that was my favorite group, I just kind of avoided K-pop as a whole. I also very much I liked other groups, but I was having a hard time and a weird life change back when this happened. I think this was in 2022 because it was right before I met my partner, and I really haven't touched K-pop since. I also always had an issue with a lot of the K-pop fandom. A lot of it is very toxic and very annoying to deal with. So I'm trying to interact with K-pop as a like fan of the music and with certain groups the people. My second favorite K-pop group other than Astro from the beginning was Stray Kids. I'm a big Stray Kids stan. I've basically tried to dip my toes back into it by listening and watching and catching up on Stray Kids. I did keep like playlists of everything they released in the last like 2 years when I didn't touch any of their stuff. I think every once in a while I watched their music video that they released but didn't keep up with anything else. And now I'm desperately trying to catch up on 2 years of content with one of the groups that has done the most content or released the most content because they've obviously gotten bigger over the last 2 years than when I last interacted with them. So yeah, I'm back on my K-pop bullshit. I've been listening to it a lot. I've been showing some of it to my partner, which I've only ever had like two people in my life that cared about K-pop. I found out one of my Starkid my Starkid friends who I went and saw, who went to the same time as me to go see some of Starkid's shows the last few years, is also a stay, like a Stray Kids fan, and I was very excited. And I'm very excited to have somebody to talk to about Stray Kids again because I haven't had that in years, and it feels very nostalgic and comforting to me in a way. Also, if you are a stay, if you're a Stray Kids fan, my bias is Chan. I also have the biggest bias wrecker in Felix and always have, like basically since Maniac. So I've been catching up on all of that. It's going to take me a while. And I'm trying to avoid like the crazy K-pop stands like the plague because they scare me. That's that on that. The other thing I got back into is also in the nostalgia train. I showed my partner Starship, which is a musical that not Stray Kids. Stray Kids and Starkid are too close together. I like get them confused when I'm talking about them both at the same time. Starkid, the theater troupe that I rave about all the time, released Starship when I was in high school. I believe I was still in high school at the time, which was a very long time ago. I graduated in 2011 for reference, if you didn't know how old I was. But Starship was one of my favorite shows of theirs. It's like well before all of their Hatchetfield stuff, and it's just like a cute, funny little space story that is very much like vaguely based in Starship Troopers, which my partner watched the other day, and I was like, oh, Starkid has a musical that's like vaguely in the same vein as that, and I showed it to him and he really enjoyed it. So that's another nostalgia watch that I've had. I also have been doing a lot of Twitch watching. So Madeline Pendleton, who is one of my favorite creators on the internet, they have been streaming on Twitch for a long time, which I think I mentioned this last month, but I wasn't watching all of the lives last month, and I have done nothing but watch their lives for the last several weeks. They stream my time, which I am Eastern Standard at this current time, and they are on the West Coast. So my time, they stream between like 12:30 and like 3ish for like 2.5 hours, pretty much every weekday. I think it's been Monday through Friday consistently. And I've been watching their streams. They are a leftist content creator. If you would like to learn more about leftist politics, I highly recommend going and watching their stream and supporting them in some way, because I really enjoy their streams. And then, speaking of streams, another booktuber I really like, which is Larry Reed's Larissa, has also started streaming on Twitch, and she does reading sprints, which has been very motivating to me to get back into reading, because as I said, I have not read a whole lot over the last few weeks, because that was not where my brain was while I had the plague. So yeah, Larry also does like coloring streams, I think on like Sundays. It's kind of whatever she's feeling on the days, but I believe her streams are 5 p.m. EST, which I believe is 6 for her, and that's Tuesday and Thursday. And she also occasionally streams on Sundays, which she's not streaming this coming Sunday because she's on a trip and has a few trips coming up, so that might change, but that is the general idea. I also very much enjoy having more interaction with the book community, because one of my complaints about Booktube in general over the last several years, especially since I came back, which was probably 2+ years ago, it's really hard to interact with people on Booktube now, because people interact with the platforms differently, and also YouTube is really bad about pushing out newer content creators and smaller channels. It's always been kind of a struggle, but when I originally made my Booktube like 8 years ago, and then changed my niche entirely and dropped off the face of the planet for 2 years when I left Cult, YouTube didn't like that. And so I've been trying to get back on the grind of like posting regularly, because I know that's what YouTube likes, and then I got the plague and here we are. But I really like being able to interact with the community, which is what Larissa's streams have been very helpful for, in my opinion, because it's a much smaller platform. Like, they have most of the bigger booktubers have like thousands and thousands and thousands of followers, so it's very hard to interact, even if you like just comment, because you might get lost in a sea of comments on like a YouTube video. But what I really like about the Twitch streams, and this is also pertains to Madeline, who has millions of followers on TikTok, which is where they were originally from, but I really like the smaller community aspect of actually being able to talk to creators, because I feel like that is severely lacking in many parts of the internet over the last several years, just because of how algorithms have changed and all of that. So yeah. Also, if you have a smaller booktube channel, I've been trying to like push this more in like Larry streams and like in other booktubers comments. If you have a booktube channel and you are a smaller channel, like either close to mine or only a couple thousand subscribers, please comment down below and I will go check out your channel and probably subscribe to you. I've subscribed to several people just because they told me that they had a channel, because YouTube makes it impossible to find smaller creators a lot of the time, and the only time I ever really find them is when the handful of booktubers who do the like smaller channel shoutouts, which used to be really, really normal on Booktube and just is not a thing anymore. That's how I found several new channels, was certain people. Like, I know Wicked Reading ended up shouting out like 10 to 15 channels, and I went and checked out pretty much all of them and subscribed to them. So if you have a smaller channel and you are trying to gain traction, please comment down below and I will go check out your channel, because I feel like that is not a thing that people do anymore, and it makes me really sad because that is how we build community. That's how I made originally a bunch of friends on Booktube. Obviously, a lot of those friends have changed for several reasons. One, because I was a Christian content creator, booktuber, when I first started out. No longer that, actually quite the opposite. So there's been a lot of changes, and so I'm trying to find more of what my niche is in order to grow my own channel, and I would love to help other people grow theirs, because I know how frustrating it is to deal with the YouTube algorithm and the algorithms on the internet to begin with. Next up, a fun thing. I've been, as I said, mentioned last month, I've been watching Close to Consciousness. I cannot say her channel name, which is Shalise, and she is an ex-Mormon, and she had David Archuleta on her podcast, which she also uploads in video form to YouTube. And as a certified American Idol girly who watched like 3 seasons of American Idol, I watched the Bo Bice Carrie Underwood season. I watched David's season with both the Davids, David Cook and David Archuleta. Who was the other one? I feel like there was another season I watched a lot of, and I can't remember what it was. But David Archuleta was one of my favorites. I also either forgot or never knew that David Archuleta was only 16. I also, at the time, did not know what a Mormon was. And if you didn't know, David Archuleta was very, very Mormon. And he has recently, in the last several years, I think since 2020, like since the beginning of the pandemic, come out as queer. I don't know what he considers himself specifically, so I'm just going to use the umbrella term of queer. Feel free to correct me in the comments down below. But he also released a book recently, and that's why he's been going on all of my like Exvangelical podcasts, especially the ex-Mormon ones. And I loved his interviews so much, and I want to get his book so bad. But I'm broke, and I am like weeks and weeks and weeks in line behind at my library. So hopefully I can get his book soon. But it was very interesting to see how he's grown up, how he ended up leaving, how he was very much the poster boy for like Mormon men for a long time, and had a lot of issues when he came out as queer. And I just love to see him thriving now, which was very, very satisfying for me to watch as somebody who's been aware of his trajectory since he was like 16. I think I was like, he's only like a year or two older than me, maybe 3. I'm 32. So he's around my age. And I don't think I even realized he was that young on American Idol. That was something I could not get over when I was watching all of his interviews. But I highly recommend going and checking out this episode of the podcast. I'll put a screenshot of the episode if you want to go find it on Shalice's channel, because she posts a lot. But I loved this. I loved hearing an update on his life, and I cannot wait to read his book. Then another channel that I tend to go back and like, I have plenty of playlists of channels to check out. I have like a booktuber one, I have like just general YouTuber one, I have like an Exvangelical of like specifically Christian content creators or ex-Christian ones that I would want to check out. And Fundie Fridays has been on there for forever. And I finally went and checked out their channel. And her and her husband actually come at this from a very different angle than most Exvangelical content, because most of us come out and talk about it because we like to share our own experiences. But Jen, I think her name's Jen. I can't think of her husband's name. Yes, her husband's name is James, because he goes by King James because it's a funny Bible joke. But both of them, from my understanding, did not grow up in this. So they're like coming at it from a completely different lens than a lot of us. And they're like reacting, like they did a big thing reacting to the Duggars, reacting to Shiny Happy People, reacting to like certain evangelical things that are currently happening. And it's wild to me hearing their perspective from somebody who has no idea what's going on there. And the only reason they know is because they've done like deep dives, what I imagine are like ADHD deep dives on the topic. And I love their channel. I've watched and binge watched a bunch of their videos over the last few weeks, and I can only recommend as much as you would like. If you want a different perspective, especially if you were somebody who didn't grow up in any of this, I feel like their channel is very accessible, because a lot of us like don't even think to share things in the Exvangelical world because we are so used to it. So seeing it come from a perspective of somebody who wasn't in it is very, very funny to me, because it is ridiculous. And they point it out all the time, and I love it. And then one of the last things that we've really been doing, me and my partner have been rewatching the BBC's Sherlock, which in my opinion is the only Sherlock adaptation that's acceptable outside of like House. I guess House is technically a Sherlock adaptation, but in the medical field. But anyway, the BBC Sherlock is the only one I like. I've seen the Robert Downey Jr. ones. I didn't like it. I think I've seen one episode of Elementary, wasn't interested. This is the only one that I like. This was the prime time of my Tumblr days when I got into the big 3, which in my time on Tumblr, and the like 2010 to like 2013 era before I joined my church cult, was the BBC Sherlock, Supernatural, and Doctor Who. Those are my 3 favorite shows of all time, if you didn't know. I don't have the ability to rewatch Doctor Who at this time, and also that's a big undertaking as somebody who loves the first 10 seasons and then thought it fell off. Sherlock, in my opinion, is a perfect show, especially the first 2 seasons. We watched season 1 with my partner, who I don't think has ever seen them. And if you didn't know, they're like hour and a half long, like movie style episodes. That's why there's so few. There's only 3 episodes per season. I believe there are 4 seasons. And I'm having the time of my life rewatching these and showing them to someone else because it's been at least a decade, if not longer, since I've watched them. And I love this show so much. I will admit, I was a Tumblr shipper. My big 3 were Destiel, 10 Rose, and John Locke. And specifically this John Locke, because it's very like heavily implied in the show, even though that never actually happens, which can be considered queer baiting. I don't believe Destiel from Supernatural, if you didn't know, is Dean and Cass. I don't consider them to be queer baiting because it was eventually canon. No, I have not finished Supernatural. I have seen all of the clips of it becoming canon, though, and I will eventually finish it. But John Locke has hold such a special place in my heart. And I also literally go about, and I was like, I don't think I actually, talking to my partner, I was like, I don't think I actually like Sherlock. I think I just like Benedict Cumberbatch. Because I've never liked another Sherlock adaptation outside of like House, which is a very, very loose Sherlock adaptation, if you even want to consider that. But yeah, I've been having the time of my life, and I can't wait to get to season 2 because it's my favorite of the series. If you want to know my favorite episode, Reichenbach Fall is perfect television, in my opinion. It is the best episode of television possibly ever. And that's all I'm going to say about that. And then I have like YouTubers I really love this month outside of the things I've already talked about. I wanted to shout out a couple of booktubers. I'm going to talk about my non-booktuber because I only really had one outside of the ones I've already spoken about this month, and that is Chelsea Callahan. I really, really love her channel. She is a New Yorker. She's a vlogger. She lives in New York City. She's going back to school. She's my age. She was really into theater. I think that's why she originally moved to New York, and she's gone back to school to get another degree. I love her and her vlogs. It's just her living in New York City with her 2 cats. And it's just very like slice of life, daily life vlogs, which I miss because I feel like a lot of New York City vloggers or like big city vloggers in general try to just like be too much of like influencers and like just always go to events and stuff. And Chelsea is not like that at all. Like I think she will go to an occasional event, but she mostly is just slice of life content, which I love so much and I miss so much. It reminds me so much of the old YouTube days. So I highly recommend her channel if you're looking for like just a general vlogger and kind of want to get little bits and pieces of New York. And then I wanted to mention Peach Appleby. This is one of the channels that I watch, which I don't watch very many of these, of like just the text ones where they like don't really speak to the camera. They just do the text and like show snippets and slice of life things. I love their channel. I do not know their pronouns. They do not live in America. I know that much. And I love their videos. I love watching them. I find them very relaxing and chill. And they mostly talk about books and like stationery and stuff. So if you're interested in that, I highly recommend. But yeah, that's one of my booktubers. And then I'm going to segue into kind of related to what I was talking about earlier. Larry, Mariana, and Yana have been influencers have been people I've been really, really enjoying their vlogs. They've been doing a lot of friendship vlogs. And if you didn't know, if you've been here for a while and you've stayed through my like church cult days when I was still like very much drinking the Kool-Aid of all that and have stuck around, thank you. I don't know how many of you there are. To my knowledge, when I was still in the cult, I had like 400 some followers, maybe 500. And I really didn't lose that many in the change. So a lot of those might be bots. I don't know. But their Yana, Larry, and Mariana's vlogs really, really remind me of an ex-friend of mine who I'm not going to get into all of that. We are no longer friends, but I used to film a lot with them. A lot of those videos are still up on my channel if you're really that interested. But I miss having a bookish bestie or like a fangirl bestie, and that is what their vlogs give me. It's Larry reads, I believe it's Mariana reads, and Yana. I think Yana is just her name on here. But I've been loving watching their friendship vlogs, and I love the like what we used to call collaborating, but now it's just like we're actually friends in real life. We're not just collaborating because we're influencers. I really love their friendship. I don't understand all the hate that a lot of them get, especially Larry gets on Booktok from what I hear, and as somebody who's not on Booktok, it sounds awful. I'm sorry. That's why I've never really participated in that corner of the internet. But I do find it very strange how people are so nitpicky about their influencers and like act like people on the other side of the camera aren't real people. The internet stresses me out, and that's why I'm like, I don't ever want to have a platform that big, but also that is kind of the goal of all of us who are being influencers. I don't know. It's weird, but it is very strange how parasocial people are online. And I see a lot of that getting to some of them, mainly Mariana. For some reason, Mariana gets a lot of hate online, and Larry, and it upsets me. So I like supporting booktubers who give off a good vibe. We definitely do not agree on everything. They like a lot of series that are like very popular series that I really don't like. So I wouldn't necessarily go to them if you're in the same vein of like books you enjoy as me. There's a handful of overlap, but I just really enjoy seeing their friendship and a non-toxic friendship in the like influencer spaces. But yeah, I've been really enjoying their channels. But yeah, I hope you all enjoyed this. This is my first attempt at coming back. I was planning on doing 2 videos a week every single week this year, and that obviously hasn't happened because I haven't filmed in a month because I was dying. So I think I'm going to try to stick to just 1 video a week. I also have to work around my partner's work schedule now because he works from home. So there's only certain days of the week I can even film. So we're trying to figure all of that out. But let me know if you enjoyed this video. Let me know who your favorite booktuber is in the comments down below. And if you don't have a favorite booktuber, just let me know your favorite YouTuber that you enjoy watching. And I will talk to you guys next time. I was going to film multiple videos today. I don't think that's going to happen because my voice is already disappearing. Probably because of the plague that tried to murder me over the last month. But yeah, thanks. Bye. I'll see all of you guys next time.